Seen it advertised last week, added it to my list, pray away. Now, the reason why I added it to my list is because what I took it as when I read the little caption is it was a program about conversion therapy for gay people. Let me see. Hold on. I wrote down what it actually is. Well, I thought I wrote down what it actually is, but obviously I don't know where that's gone now. So the little reading about it is 5 evangelicals in the 1970s break away and form Exodus International, a group that claims gay people can become straight through prayer and conversion therapy. Right. I'm gonna give you all of my own personal views on what I thought watching this, because as I was watching it, I was taking down notes. And then I'm going to give you my final thoughts, and then I'm going to read what some of these reviews said and how much it, I wouldn't say influenced my now thought of it, but it made me look at these things and go, oh yeah. Right, so I've literally got all the things down here that I wrote down. So there's a ex-gay guy. They call themselves ex-gay. So ex-gay gets used quite a lot in this. But there's an ex-gay guy called John who marries an ex-lesbian, and they... Oh, there goes my Alexa. So there's an ex-gay guy called John. He marries an ex-lesbian, and they have a child, and it goes viral. So this guy, John, he's one of the people that formed this group called Exodus International, which became a massive group because John was someone who was gay. He was openly gay. He forms this group called Exodus International, claiming that it can turn gay people straight. He claims that he was gay, but he's now straight. He then marries a woman who used to be a lesbian and is now straight, and they have a child together. So you need to imagine this is back in the 70s. So back in the 70s, people see this and they're like, oh, wow, it must be true. So I've literally just... These notes are all out of order. Well, they're in order of how the programs run, but different things are about different people. So John said that he kept a lid on his homosexuality and he got his relief through porn, which his ex-lesbian wife found. So this John guy, he literally talks about it at some point. I'm sure it's in my notes here, but he talks about how he thought being gay was a behavior. So he thought, if I don't behave gay, I'm not gay. But he still had gay thoughts. So like he would still have gay thoughts in his head and still be tempted when he looked at men. But because he wasn't with a man, sleeping with men, kissing men, doing quote unquote gay stuff, he didn't believe he was gay. So because he married a woman, was having sex with a woman, had a child with a woman, he then told himself he was straight, even though he was probably thinking about Derek while he was fucking Deborah. I don't know if Deborah's a name. I might have written her name down right at the end of this. Anne. Her name was Anne. Thought it was fucking Anne, but it was Andy. He even said this. He says this at some point as well. I knew it was going to come out. He lied. So he lied. Said he. Oh, that's what it was. It's all coming back to me now. So this John guy that I've just said. So this John guy was a gay person. He broke away and helped form this Exodus group. He marries a woman, has a child with this woman, keeps the lid on his homosexuality. His wife did catch him watching gay porn. And she was like, why can't you do God's willing? Why can't you get rid of these demons? Blah, blah, blah. But nothing happens. He then goes out. This is later on in life. He then goes out to a gay bar. He's in the gay bar. Someone gay clocks him, sees who he is, calls his friend. His friend is either paparazzi or calls up paparazzi. As this John is seen leaving the club, someone tries to snap a picture of him. So he puts his hand up in his face and is running away. It's all caught on camera. And then he says he knew it was going to come out, so he lied. He didn't know it was he said he didn't know it was a gay bar, and he went in there just to use the toilet. And his only thought was, I hope I didn't hurt the movement. He was the chairman of Exodus at this time. So imagine the golden boy, I'm trying to think, the show pony, the show horse. I'm trying to think of what it is, but the star child of Exodus, the chairman of Exodus, the person that probably got hundreds of thousands of people to believe because he used to be gay and now has a wife and children. He then got kicked out as the Exodus chairman, and his wife divorced him. And now he is back to being a fully fledged homosexual. I feel like that's a safe way to say it. Again, throughout this, people that are in Exodus say to be gay, you either suffered bad parenting or physical/emotional abuse as a kid. And if you can get over that abuse, you won't be gay. They said a boy is gay because he has a bad relationship with his dad, and a woman becomes a lesbian because she has a bad relationship with her mom. It was called a disease, a crime, a sin. Look, watching this, because I'm not gay. I don't know if that's a shock to anyone that's watching this. Because I'm not gay. So because I'm not gay, most of these things don't register to me. Like, I've never heard of some people say, oh, you're gay because you've got a bad relationship with your dad, or you're a lesbian because you've got a bad relationship with your mom. I have heard the whole women with daddy issues tend to be a bit more promiscuous. I don't know what promiscuous means. I feel like promiscuous is a nice way of saying slutty. So, yeah, take that as you will. But there was another group as well called the Living Hope Group. The Living Hope Group, similar to Exodus, the Living Hope Group took in young, gay conflicted Christians. It's all to do with gay conflicted Christians. It's the one thing I haven't mentioned yet. Exodus is big on the religion and the Christian side of it. But yeah, the Living Hope Group, one person talks about how they were not allowed to talk to each other outside of the group or even have each other as friends on Facebook because the executives and the higher-ups at the Living Hope Group were worried that they would meet up and have sex. One girl's mom, and I think the guy's called Ricky, who was the leader of the group, they made her quit softball to avoid being gay, and they sent her to a Christian college so she wouldn't grow up and be a lesbian. There was another person in Living Hope. Again, they're on camera saying this. She's on camera saying that people turn into lesbians to avoid being hurt by men. There's a woman who was a lesbian who then turned straight, but then at the time of this documentary that we're watching, she's back to being a lesbian again. She was talking about how she was hurt by a man, and to avoid being hurt by men anymore, she became gay. Like, it's a choice. Who knows? At Living Hope, they taught girls to wear makeup and to help them connect with other girls and become more feminine. They got guys to play football with each other to connect with other guys and become more masculine. Here's my issue. This is America. So when they say football, they mean American football, which is like the padded version of rugby. If you have a bunch of people who are conflicted about their sexuality, i.e. a bunch of young horny boys that are horny for men and conflicted about it, should you really have them running around, tackling each other, getting sweaty with other men? Just my thought. I don't agree with any of this progress. I'm just saying, if you're going to commit, at least commit correctly. Behavior makes you... Here we go, that's what I was saying earlier. Behavior makes you gay, not feelings. He was always feeling gay. He was tempted by homosexuality, but he was lying back then because of his position in the Exodus group, of him obviously being the chairman of Exodus. We then learn Exodus started getting more... This bit for me was interesting. Exodus started getting more political in 2003. Politicians can't say their views are better than gay views, but Exodus can. So politicians, people that are running for the president and stuff, they were like, they can't get on camera and say, I'm a straight Christian male. Don't believe what this gay guy's saying. He's dealing with demons. They can't say that. But Exodus, this group can come out and say, George Bush is a straight white male. He's talking more sense because this guy's gay or she's a lesbian, and they're obviously not thinking correctly. Who knows? The Bush era, that's why I brought up George Bush, they tried to fight the LGBTQ rights forever. The Exodus vice president was gay. After this is literally what I've written. The Exodus vice president was gay after they got rid of the other gay guy. And then there was a lesbian leader of Exodus who was in charge of Prop 8. So listen to what I'm saying. Exodus are campaigning and getting more and more political with George Bush to stop things like gay marriage. Meanwhile, the main person in Exodus is gay and he's leading this charge. There was also a woman who joined just as Prop 8 was being started. So it was all about her to influence Prop 8 and get it all out there. She was a lesbian. Or she was an ex-gay, an ex-lesbian, and she was in charge of Prop 8, which is literally against her own community. They say all this at the end. We will get there. You've also then got... Oh, here we go. I think I've written down what Prop 8 is. Yes. The most important investment Exodus made... Well, the most important investment Exodus put into politics was the marriage battle. The Prop 8 campaign, only a man and a woman can be married, which means... What they did, so how Prop 8, and this is what you call propaganda, how Exodus tried to swing it in their favor to get this whole marriage battle, the Prop 8 marriage campaign passed through, is they were saying, look, a man should marry a woman should marry a man can't marry another man, a woman can't marry another woman. Where does it stop? They were basically saying, if gay people get married, what's next? Adults can marry children, mothers can marry their sons. They were literally spinning it like that. So people that aren't gay and probably didn't necessarily care about the issues or were homophobic in any sense, if you heard, well, if we let gay people get married, then these pedophiles are going to want to marry these children, and all these incest people are going to want to marry these people, and marriage is all about the word of God, and they're disrespecting God and Christianity. And so Proposition 8, known informally as Prop 8, was a California ballot proposition and a state constitutional amendment intended to ban same-sex marriages. It passed in November 2008 California state elections, but was later overturned in court. Thank you very much for that, Wikipedia. And then it came up, said the founder of Exodus, after decades of destruction, finally started a company to do good for, to do more good for the LGBT community. And this was like XX gay. So you were gay, and then you were X-gay, but now you're X-gay. This is what they referred to themselves as. And then there was a new, at the end of the documentary, there was a new leader of Exodus who, I don't know why he did it, but it was good for him. He organized a face-to-face group meeting with all the survivors from Exodus to make him see what had gone on the past 3 months. There were people that had left 12 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, to some people that had just left now. And they were literally talking about all the harmful things that Exodus were doing. Now, if you are Christian and you have a church, or if you're Christian, you want to be like, look, I want to help young Christians understand their sexuality, by all means. But if you're telling people that to be gay is wrong, to have demons, that they've been abused. At one point in this show, when they're talking about it, they're saying, oh, if a man has a bad relationship with his dad, they tend to grow up to be gay. If a woman has a bad relationship with her mom, someone then said, what about if there is no bad relationship with a same-sex parent? They immediately jumped to, oh, sexual abuse. And then the guy replied and was like, not everyone is sexually abused. It's like, oh, it happens, you're so young, you've probably forgot about it. So you can forget about this sexual abuse, but it's enough to turn you gay. And then at the end of the show, it comes up saying approximately 700,000 people have had a form of conversion therapy in the US, and the survey shows youth are twice as likely to commit suicide after having conversion therapy. Ricky Shellett, the director of Living Hope, he refused to be interviewed. And Ann Polk, who was the ex-wife of John Polk. John Polk featured predominantly a lot in this. He's the gay guy, that ex-gay, married Anne, who's the ex-lesbian, had a child, and turns out he was still gay when he got caught in a gay nightclub. Now, that's a lot to take in. Now, the main reason I watched this for one reason in particular, and it was to learn more about conversion therapy. When Trump was either running for president or when he was president, I remember seeing something about his second-in-hand, Mike Pence, being for conversion therapy, but also shock conversion therapy. Then when I read into it, shock conversion therapy was literally using like electrical currents to try and shock the gay out of people. So they would sit them down in front of a TV or some material, and if they started getting turned on by homophobic material, they would shock them to sort of put in their brain, gay, pain, bad, woman, no pain, good, which is fucking ridiculous. That's the only reason I watched it. So here are my biggest takeaways from this Netflix show, and these are all my takeaways I wrote down before I saw the reviews about this documentary. So the first thing I actually put in here is you don't actually learn or see anything about conversion therapy. It's called Pray Away. Exodus is all about this group that's all about conversion therapy. They do nothing but advertise this as being about conversion therapy. Not once do I even think you hear the word conversion therapy. You don't see it. No one, that doesn't show you like the effects of what the people are thinking. It doesn't touch conversion therapy whatsoever. Religion plays a big part, and it's not touched on nearly enough. Like, you know, religion plays a big part when every time they talk about Exodus, it's in a church. They're talking about Christianity. They're talking about God. But they never, I don't know if it's Netflix, the people that did the documentary, even the people that were part of Exodus, that have I don't know, reneged on that and are now against Exodus, even though they were part of it and helped it build and helped it destroy how many people's lives. Yeah, they don't really talk about how bad religion, I shouldn't say how bad religion is, but they don't talk about how the effect or the contribution that religion had on things like conversion therapy. And all the people leading the charge were gay. All the people leading the charge were gay, pretending to not be gay and to lying to everyone about it. The leaders of Exodus were all gay. They were all gay, pretending to not be gay, lying to all these straight and gay people because of the position they were in, the money they might have been making. They didn't want to make God or Jesus look bad. I don't know. But I was like, you know what? I'm not gay, so I was like, I wonder what gay people thought of this. And the only way I could find out, well, the only way I thought I could find out what gay people thought about it is I was like, let me read reviews, because I'm assuming the main audience for this was gay people. So I'm going to read a lot of these reviews. I'm going to read them all. I've only got a few reviews. I'm going to read them word for word, and then I'll talk about it. The documentary was less about conversion therapy and more of a where are they now for truly awful people. I felt that only one or two of them even began to grasp the reality of the damage they've done. That was one of them. Agreed with her. Not about conversion therapy. It was more of a where are they now. It literally was. Everyone that it follows is someone that was part of Exodus, leading the charge. And it was just showing you, oh, where are they now? Oh, look, we're in gay relationships. We're married. Feel happy for us. Yeah, when you're watching it, no one cries. And I'm not saying they should cry. But the shit that they said and put people through, and the amount of young people that took their own lives because of the shit they were saying and pushing, not one of them looks sad. Some of them say they're remorseful. They're like thinking about it now. I'm just like, oh, but they don't seem remorseful. One of them sat in what looks like a big, massive mansion. Not saying he made all that money from Exodus, but if he did, I can see why he's still happy about it. This is another review. The elephant in the room is religion, not conversion therapy. I mean, it is only the religious people pushing conversion therapy. There wasn't any speak of conversion therapy not being tied to religion. Everything was tied to religion. Exodus was tied to religion. Living Hope was tied to religion. Everything was aimed at Christians, young Christians, gay Christians. Everything was aimed at Christians. It's very religious. Next review. Where were the people destroyed by conversion therapy? The families torn apart by the hate and rhetoric of these organisations. The decades of harm and blood caused by the people in this filth. It felt like the whole point was a glorification of these horrid people, like we were supposed to feel sorry for them for the decades of misery they caused. Couldn't agree more. You don't see anyone that was negatively affected by this. All we see is a bunch of people who led the charge, benefited from this until one point when eventually after 10, 20, 30 years, depending on when they dropped out, then saw the light of day and decided to go back. Like, what? None of them say that they did anything. None of them said, oh, I've done nothing but give back. I think one person created a Facebook group where he tries to look after ex-gay people. But again, it's the rhetoric that they were putting out and the stuff that they were saying. Ridiculous. Next quote. So many children and families have had their lives torn apart by conversion therapy, but instead of telling their story, this documentary focuses on the terrible people who caused that harm. Listen, fuck all the people in this documentary. I couldn't agree. Now, when I started reading all these things, I was like, that's a good point. We didn't see any conversion therapy. We didn't see or hear from anyone that was affected by going through conversion therapy. All we see is all these people that were in charge, leading this, pushing that rhetoric, was just seeing what they did and how they feel bad now. But what they're up to these days? Is it this one? There was another review. I haven't got it written down. There was another review talking about the reason they dislike this documentary is because when they talk about Exodus closing down, it like cuts to it pans like a shot of a church and they're playing somber music and they're like, yo, it's like you want us to be sad that Exodus has had to shut down, considering what the fuck they've been doing for the past 30 years. And this is the last quote. Others have said it here. It's a where are they now? with no explanation of their behaviors. It's told on the behalf of the people that did the most harm to the LGBT community than anyone else. These weren't conservatives. These were our own people, for their own personal and political expediency, decided to hurt the community they were trying not to be a part of. That was the nail in the coffin right there. For me, I still learned something. I wouldn't completely panic. For me, as a straight person that doesn't know too much about, one, conversion therapy, or two, what the gay people were going through, although it is a jaded look, a peek behind the curtain, it's not the peek behind the curtain you want to see. It's still a peek behind the curtain. And what I mean by that is, it's like seeing a documentary on Hitler, apart from it's like someone that was Hitler's left-hand man doing a documentary, and he's telling you everything that happened, but from the Nazi side of it, all the killings, you'd be like, shit, I never knew this happened, but I don't want to hear it from his point of view. I don't want to hear it from the person that did it. Again, yes, I'm hearing things that I wouldn't hear if I spoke to the victims. You do need to get both sides of the story, but it does appear as if they are glorifying the people that are involved in this. Again, you don't learn about conversion therapy. I had to Google what conversion therapy is because I'm still not any closer to knowing what conversion therapy is. But apart from that,